everyone, I'm Kevin, otherwise known as Forum BX257, here to bring you another 1980s G.I. Joe toy review. And today I'll be taking a look at the G.I. Joe's Advanced Recon Man, the 1987 sneak peek. Now, like a lot of 1987 and 1988 characters, he doesn't make any cartoon appearances, but he makes his first comic book appearance in the old Marvel comic run of G.I. Joe in issue 73. Now, I think a lot of collectors are probably going to be wondering why I'm doing sneak peek, because he's not a very well-liked action figure, even though he does have some great turns in the comic book. One of the dislikes that's often brought up is the way the actual action figure looks. And another thing is that he's named after horror author Stephen King's son, Owen King. As a matter of fact, his birthplace is Bangor, Maine, a favorite residence of the King family. And as such, he's kind of regarded as maybe a trophy toy for Stephen King's son. But you do have to remember, back in the 80s, Owen King was a very vocal G.I. Joe fan, and I'm sure Hasbro would have picked up on the celebrity connection. But I don't think it's really fair just to, dislike the character or even the action figure just because of that. I want to give this thing a fair try. Sneak Peek comes with a massive amount of accessories, especially for a figure that was released in 1987. We'll take a look at his only weapon, what the card contest lists as an M16A rifle. And if this rifle looks very familiar to you, that's because it is exactly the same as the rifle which came with the 1985 Footloose figure. There is no difference whatsoever. They are basically interchangeable. One interesting thing about the rifle, however, is if you take a look at the original card art, you can see that the rifle was originally going to be colored in a green, like this device here. Another item that he comes with is the most hardest thing to find on this figure. Usually this is what's missing, and that is his microphone. However, the contest lists this as a walkie-talkie of all things. I'm really not sure why. Then he comes with a pair of binoculars, a very classic design here. And he comes with a multi-band radio transponder unit, which is just hooked onto his side here. He has a little hook here, which is something that you might want to look out for if you want this figure on the aftermarket. Make sure that that piece hasn't cracked off. It's actually a rather sturdy piece of plastic. It's actually rather thick, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Like, I wouldn't worry about straining it or anything like that, but just look out for it, make sure it's still there. This is actually a very interesting little piece of technology that they've decided to give this figure. Because even though the multi-band radio thing is actually a fairly normal thing, of course, being a multi-band radio, he can listen to emergency wavelengths, police and military wavelengths, things like that, which civilian radios are not allowed to. But it's also a transponder unit, which means it's a transmitter responder. Basically, it's something that gives out a friendly ID, so that even though Sneak Peek might be hiding in the bush, he won't get shot by his own guys. So it's actually something that I bet Cobra would like to get their hands on. And finally, he comes with his very distinctive, what's called a variable range optical field scanning device. And I will continue to refer to this as a giant periscope, because this thing is supposed to be a lens. Unfortunately, it's just a flat plastic, Would have been nice if there was a sticker, or maybe just like a clear, like a clear piece to go on there. Unfortunately, it doesn't have anything like that. But that's supposed to be the lens. And this down here is supposed to be the eyepiece. So that's kind of how he's supposed to look into the thing. And this is a 3-piece item. It has this handle, which I'm not sure is how he's supposed to hold on to this, because it's a rather thick piece, and it doesn't really wrap around this thing unless you literally take it off and then reapply it on the other side, which you can. I mean, it's not going to hurt the plastic or anything if you take that thing off. It's thick enough to be sturdy, I guess. But it's primarily shown to be like on this way. And this isn't really conducive to being held, really. Another piece, which is something that you have to look out for because it's rather odd that this is a removable piece, is this, well, handle and cup portion. And I believe that that's removable so you can have some options for how the figure holds this thing. And a lot of people don't know how this figure is supposed to hold this, because it doesn't have traditional handholds. It has this rather odd, like, little flip here. And this has a flip as well as a ledge. As you can see, this thing actually does have some that ridged detail there that just sort of goes across there. So you can see fairly easily how this thing is supposed to be attached. This ridge just continues the detail here. But you can put it on upside down. Now the ridge, well, the ridge detail doesn't match up, but you can put it on that way. And now, with that part of the handle in its traditional spot, I will attempt to show you how you're supposed to hold this thing, or at least how the designers were hoping that people would figure out how this figure would hold this thing. As you can see, they declined to put any instructions. So basically, this is what goes into the left hand, and if this is the eye cup, you're supposed to have the figure hold it about this size. So the hand, his left hand, has to go all the way up here, and you're primarily going to be holding onto the ledge and not the this horizontal handle. Kind of like the way he would hold maybe like binoculars or something, just so that the figure hand is kind of like in a C shape, holding it up to about his chest area. And now his right hand can wrap around and hold this close to the bottom of that rung. And there he goes. Unfortunately, this is a pose that really requires the hands not being really too widened out from play or over time, and of course the hands have to be rather stiff in order for it to be done that way. Oh well. However, if you turn it around and put it back on, I think that actually makes a really nice way of him just kind of holding the thing just sort of casually, just sort of resting on his body like that, instead of his holding on to the handle. Now, without his accessories, what does Sneak Peek really look like? I don't know about you, but he really reminds me of a horse jockey. He has all this colorful, contrasting gear, his big fat helmet, and then he has skinny little black boots. I don't know, maybe it's just me. And I do have to admit, yeah, he is kind of chunky because of all this padding, And his helmet does kind of make his head look a bit fat and round. And this really, really thick collar, puffy collar, it doesn't really help him either. I'm not even sure why he has all this padding. I mean, he's a Ranger Recon guy. He should be wearing, I don't know, camo maybe? Or at least, fatigues or something. A flak jacket even. But he has these paddings like he's in he's like a laser trooper or something like that. The go fast stripes on his helmet, they don't help the horse jockey look either. I do have to say though, he does have one redeeming sculpted feature, and that is the little knife on his forearm. That's usually a mark of a badass, I think. Firefly had one. Oh, and spoilers. Sneak Peek is killed in Marvel Comics G.I. Joe issue number 113. Oh, and double spoilers. Sneak Peek reappears in IDW Comics G.I. Joe number 164, stating that he faked his death for a secret assignment. Well, that's all the time I have right now. Please check out my Facebook page for more information and behind-the-scenes photos for these reviews. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for next time to see another 1980s G.I. Joe toy review. See you then!